Alrighty. Welcome to all the wonderful people who are joining us from the Wellness Lifestyle Conference. You will notice that we are not live on video today, and that is because, unfortunately, even though we just had our wonderful technicians round to fix Wi Fi issues and whatnot, it still seems to be giving slight hassle. So, apologies for that. But we hope that you're able to enjoy the conversation that we have with everybody here today. Now, before we jump into the nitty gritty of our discussion today, which is surviving and thriving in the dark night of the soul, I would like to just say one thing, and that is that if anybody here is who is listening to this or catching the recording is suffering from either severe depression or suicidal thoughts, please ensure that you seek professional help and assistance from a trained professional. And in the description of this video, I have included links to crisis hotlines for each country around the world. So please feel free to use those. Michael Edward Bradford is, as always, it's an honor to have you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Looking forward to this.
Excellent, excellent. I am too. So you know this, but I think a lot of our listeners might not. We've both recently had brushes with the dark night of the soul. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and I like to think that we've not only survived it, but we've come out the other end really thriving. Tell us a little bit about your experience, and then I'll tell the listeners about mine.
Well, I've actually had many more than one. And anytime we're going through a massive change in our life, whether it's, some people even go through it after having a child, after a job change or loss, after moving, after a spiritual breakthrough. There's a tendency to experience a a massive shift in energy. Sometimes the massive shifts in energy are positive and we spring upward, and other times we fall backwards, or as I would call it, integrate, gap and fill and integrate.
Right.
So there are about 3 or 4 times when I would like to talk about. Number one is when my mother died of cancer when I was 24. She was 47. And my mother and I were very close. She was pretty much the mainstay of my support system. And she was dying of cancer, and there was nothing I could do. Back then, I was not a healer. I did not know the gifts that I have now. And I was very angry, very hurt, very depressed. And for about 7 years, it was rough going for me. So anytime we have an intense loss, there can be a grieving period, especially if someone loses a child or someone that's close to them. There was another
Mhm.
time, 11/11/11, November 11th, 2011, when I was outside of my cousin's house in Palm Springs, California, talking on the phone, and it felt like someone just pulled the plug out. And imagine a bathtub where you pull the plug out and all the water drains out. Well, all my energy drained out. And I flew from California to England and to New Zealand. And a friend of mine, Jasmine, took one look at me, put me on his couch, and that's where I stayed for a couple of months. And I could barely go to the bathroom, make it to the bathroom, because I was so depleted. And he would cook for me. I couldn't even go for a walk without him being right by my side. I was so oversensitive. And I would say, Jasmine, I'm scared. How am I going to survive? And he'd laugh at me. And he laughed and he would say, Michael, you're going through an initiation. When you come back, you're going to be so much clearer and so much stronger.
Mm.
And it's true, I was. Now, there's other experiences I've had when I've gone through life changes, or just recently, I was in South Africa during COVID and was there for 17 months. And for whatever reason, when I came back to America, um, after the fiasco at the Capitol with the people storming the Capitol and other things, there was so much anger and rage in the United States, and I was so open coming back to the United States, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. And whatever the shift is that I'm going through or have been going through has been extremely intense, and I'm just coming out of it now. And the time period has been a couple of months. So there's other times I can talk about. But see, most people, for me, they look at life and go, oh, life's a ladder. I keep on going up higher and higher and higher. And what I've learned is that life is a trampoline. And there's times when you have to go lower in order to spring back. And I want to tie it into many more things that I want to talk about. But I'm going to allow you, Stephan, come on back in the conversation and share some of your stories. And then we can talk about some of the other things I would like to cover later on.
So interestingly, as you were saying some of that, I was very cognizant. And the first one for me was, and it completely, when you said that you felt like all the energy had just been let out of you, that was exactly how I felt. My entire identity had been wrapped up in this, and that was now ripped away. And all these questions were coming up for me. Life still have meaning? And I think a lot of people go through that as well. Hey, Michael? That was a really intense experience, and one that I was...
Stephan,
yeah?
can you hold on one second? I'm only getting about 1/3 of what you're saying, and then it goes blank.
Oh, dear. One of the other presentations. For those who are listening on... I'm not seeing comments. Do you see comments coming through on your side, Michael?
No, I'm not seeing any comments, but I'm hearing myself clearly, but I would imagine that would be normal. But I'm only getting maybe 1/3 of what you're saying, and then it goes totally blank, and then you come back in again.
Okay, so maybe I'll tell us more about your experiences in regards to what you just... How did you manage to come out of that?
Well, first of all, I want to go back into why and what this is about. So in other words, we talk about biorhythms. Everything has a cycle. And unfortunately, yes, we'd like to keep on moving up the ladder of life, but unfortunately, everything is a cycle, whether it's the Earth, rotation, the moon, whatever it may be, everything has cycles, everything has rhythms to it. So you have the biorhythms in the body that can affect us. We have planetary changes. We have the cycles of life, Saturn return, astrological. So there are many things that come into play whenever we're being challenged. And if we have, and especially if we're an empath or very sensitive, then what happens is we can be deeply affected, or even more deeply affected, by planetary changes, etc. In the past, I've had, or one of the things I recommend to people, especially if they're an empath, is that they have a group of friends and they check and say, okay, how am I feeling today? If I'm feeling down or angry or depressed or whatever may be going on, sometimes I will stop and scratch my head and going, okay, let me stop for a minute. Is this me? Or is it the planets? Is it local? Is it regional? And I've had been lucky to have a group of friends where we call each other and say, okay, what's going on for you today? How are you feeling? And if the whole group is feeling down and frustrated, then what we know is that it's not ours personally, it's planetary. And a lot of times before an earthquake, before a war, before a bombing, before anything that's going on traumatic on the planet, we will start feeling it. The other thing is that if only one person is feeling it, then we know it's more personal. It's like, okay, now I got to go back and say, where am I getting triggered? What's affecting me? So it's very important to be able to pinpoint what's going on. If it's not us personally, then it's easier to say, okay, I'm going to go into prayer. I'm going to stay positive and approach it that way. Whenever we take, I'm switching subjects now, whenever we take a massive jump forward, there's a chance that later on we'll have to go back and fill that gap and integrate the pieces that we were not integrating at that time. So for whatever reason, we may take a massive leap forward, and then we are missing some pieces. So then what we're going through later on could be an integration process, or we could deny or block some of the emotions that are there. And a lot of people that are coming down with any kind of physical ailments, even being cancer, diabetes, allergies, hep C, or whatever the issues are, even anger, intimacy, whatever it may be, 90% of the time, I find that the deepest root cause is the trapped energy. Now, I want to go back and talk about some of the most experienced, profound people I've ever met in my life. And they have all gone through the dark night of the soul. They've gone through times when they have either been bedridden or gone into deep depression when they're and that was triggered by a big change in their life. So I have one friend who, when their company closed, it blew their mind so bad because they had no concept of failing. They had no concept of something not working. And with this particular person, it was being guided by spirit. So they could not understand why it failed. And so they internalized it, beat themselves up, and their energy crashed. Now, over time, they bounced back, and over time, they strengthened. However, for whatever the reason was, whatever the lesson was, it was very profound. There's another person I know who was bit by a poisonous spider and went through the dark night of the soul and had to make a choice. They were actually in a place where they had to choose whether to live or die, and it was a conscious choice. They were given the choice: do you want to live and deal with certain things, or do you want to get off the planet? And luckily, they chose to stay. Now, I want to go even deeper with this, because if you take a look in the Bible, the Old Testament, they talked about very profound people who spent 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness. And the 40 days and 40 nights wandering in the wilderness is exactly what they're talking about, the dark night of the soul. It was a time of introspection.
Nice.
It was a time of saying, what what are my values? What's important to me? Is it money? Is it power? Is it sex? Is it what most humans are looking for, or what is going on even deeper? So, although it's called the 40 Days and 40 Nights and the Dark Night of the Soul, this is again about shifting patterns. It's about shifting frequencies, shifting vibrations. And it is something that is documented with most of the enlightened people, most of the people who are deep thinkers. They've gone through such a profound inner testing. And when they come out of it, they're a much different person. They're a much deeper person. So the challenge then is, okay, understanding that the dark night of the soul is not something that is that unusual. The question is, how do you get out of it? Do you go ahead? Do you go into resistance? Do you fight it? Do you ignore it? When I came back from South Africa, I wanted to get my business up and running. That's where all my focus and attention was. However, what my soul wanted was to relax, recover, reintegrate, shift and adapt to the energy of the United States as opposed to South Africa. And one of the profound things for me is when I was in South Africa, I went to a number of events where they were singing different songs and showing pictures of Nelson Mandela. And at one point in time, the energy of Nelson Mandela actually entered my body. And I had tears in my eyes because I felt this deep, deep connection with South Africa and with the whole concept of creating a bigger peace, creating more love and harmony. So whatever the change was, whatever the shift was from the energy of South Africa to me returning to the United States, it was huge. And although I wanted to focus on getting my business up and running, everyone just looked at me and laughed and said, Michael, allow yourself to surrender into the shift, allow yourself to go ahead and be kind, be gentle, rest, eat good food, nurture yourself, walk in nature, and allow yourself to integrate whatever is being integrated. Now, it's been about 3 months now since I've returned from South Africa, and I'm first starting to feel more alive, more vibrant, more ready to create and co-create. So there's a cycle, and we can either resist and allow our ego personality to fight for survival, or we can surrender into it. Now, the other big point here is about surrendering into it is very, very appropriate, and it's critical for us to reach out to other people and to allow other people to nurture, support us, even to be a cushion should we need it. Now, thank God I was not suicidal when I was going through this. If I had been suicidal, and if people are suicidal, then immediately it is critical that you seek professional medical help. If you're not feeling suicidal and going through things, it's still important to keep your doctor informed. And what I want to share also is that when I was in South Africa, I was very fortunate. I was working with Dr. Grant Forey and the nutritionist that was there. And when I was going through stuff in South Africa, they went ahead and did a bunch of blood tests on me. They did a lot of nutritional tests on me. What I found out was my iron content was almost non-existent. So nutritionally, what was going on was actually complicating my health issues and my emotional issues. So again, it's very important to get the support that you need. Have the blood test by your doctor. Have nutritional checks. Wendy Christian who works with Dr. Grant Forey does nutritional work, and she can do it remotely. And between what Dr. Grant was doing with blood tests and tuning into what was going on, and with what Wendy Christian was doing, working with Grant, they worked in the same office. And by the way, I was working at the same office too, working with clients on emotional issues and energetic blocks. So being around a team of people to look at what is going on with you mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and energetically can help you dramatically. And I actually said to Dr. Forey, I said to Wendy, I said, if it wasn't for you, I don't even know if I would still be alive. So it is critical that we have checked, we're being checked and supported, nurtured mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, energetically. When we're going through the dark night of the soul, sleeping, resting, walking on the beach, walking in nature, drinking lots and lots and lots of water, pure water, eating healthy food. If we're going through the dark night of the soul, the tendency is saying, okay, I'm going to have a lot of my sweets that I love. And I love M&M peanuts. I love M&M chocolate covered almonds. I love, barbecued ribs. There's a lot of things I love, but that doesn't mean they're healthy for me. And that doesn't mean that they're nurturing me or lifting my spirits. So when we're going through the dark night of the soul, it is about being kind and gentle to ourselves. It's about staying away from negative people. It's about setting boundaries and say, excuse me, I'm really not feeling up to it. I know I promised to help you, but I can't. Right now, I need to take care of myself. And very few of us will set boundaries. Very few of us will, again, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and energetically say, I need to take care of myself. This is not good for me. So the whole point is about being tuned in to what you're feeling, what you're wanting, what you're needing, and taking better care of yourself. Hold on a second, I've got a message coming in. Okay, and this is, hold on a second. There's notes coming in. I'm doing my best to read the notes and still do the talk. What I'm just being guided is that when anyone has been addicted to drugs, to alcohol, to sex, and you're breaking away and you're becoming healthier, you are going to go through the dark night of the soul, because all of the crutches, all of the things that you've leaned on, relied on, where you've been hiding, you're coming out into the light. You're coming out into taking better care of yourself. So whenever someone is making that shift, and anyone that has been involved in a 12-step program, God bless you, because I know you've gone through hell and back. And a lot of people are clean and sober for a number of years. However, I'm going to ask and recommend that you find someone that's extremely good that can read energy. So someone that can look at your energy, can see if your energy has contamination. I will call negative energies or other things. Anyone that's been addicted has entities or negative energies in their energy field. That's what creates the addiction. So for me, the 12-step program is phenomenal. There's a lot of friends of Bill. And excuse me, I'm not sure why I'm getting emotional, but this energy is just flowing through me right now. And the good thing about the 12-step program is it exists and it's kept a lot of people alive. What I'd like to see is being a 14-step program. And the other steps is working with an energy healer like myself, like Stephan, who can help you to pinpoint and identify what the amplifiers are, the negative amplifiers that are creating the addiction. Now, with a lot of people, they'll say, I want to quit, but something won't let me. Well, that's the other energies in the energy field. And I can go into a lot more detail about that another time. Right now, I want to focus on some other things. When we're going through the dark night of the soul, if we're beating ourselves up, that is just amplifying the problem. It is not creating the solution. Paulo Coelho is a very famous author, and he's got a book talking about the warriors of the light. And Paulo Coelho says, every warrior of the light has lied, cheated, stolen, betrayed a friend, and that is why they're a warrior of the light, because they've gone ahead and decided, made the conscious choice, I want to be a better person. I want to change. I want to contribute more to planet Earth. I want to move up the spiritual ladder and raise my frequency and vibration. Now, again, this is all a process, and it is not a straight line. There are times that we're going to be able to move ahead very quickly. There's times when there's great love, finances, abundance, joy, happiness, but there's also times of great loss. I've lost quite a few of my friends, some of them to accidents, car accidents, other accidents, some of them naturally because they've been older or they've had health issues. And we have to deal with that grieving. We have to embrace it. Anything we ignore, anything we suppress, anything we hide, anything we run from will wind up controlling us and limiting us and sabotaging us. So the more open and honest we can be with ourselves, the more open and honest we can be with those that are close to us, and the easier it is to clear the energy. It takes tremendous courage to be open, to be honest with ourselves as well as other people, and to take a look at what is going on with us. If we want to avoid the dark night of the soul, the best way to do it is each and every day to face whatever is coming up. Face it as honestly as we can, as openly as we can, and to heal it so that it is complete. And again, life is not a ladder. It's a trampoline. Life is not a destination. Life's a journey. And hopefully, we're constantly learning, changing, and growing. Life is a lot like a caterpillar. And if you watch a caterpillar, you'll see it moves, and then the back end of it moves forward, and then the front of it reaches out again. And this is the way we live life. In many ways, we are a caterpillar, hopefully turning into a butterfly. And it's about mind, body, and spirit. It's about expanding and then integrating and then expanding again and integrating. And there's times when I had a choice, and I love some of these videos that show runners that are in competitions and the other runner stops and falls. And the runner who is in front will stop and go back and help the other runner. And the two of them will cross the finish line at the same time. So what happens we can go ahead and just think about ourselves. We can be selfish. We can even win. However, what would happen if we all made sure? Wow, I'm getting emotional. What would happen if we all made sure that we finished and crossed the finish line together? And that's one of the things I love about my friend Stephanie and uh, other people that are on the spiritual path, where we go ahead um, and we make sure that we're working as a team. The old way was one strong person. Now it is more, and it's always been about creating a team where we're win-win. We're covering each other's back. We're supporting each other. When one person is losing energy or going through a challenge, to take the time and spend with them. There was a case, and by the way, I've written 2 books. One is the Mastering the Human Experience, Your Soul's Journey on Earth. Another book I'm writing, it'll come out within the next month, is Intuition, Your Silent Thunder. And I talk in those books about a healer in England who many years ago committed suicide. And he helped everybody else. He was a cornerstone. He was helped everybody. He was well known for that. But when he was going through stuff, he did not reach out to other people. He did not say, I need help. And what happened was, it got to the point, for whatever reason, and only he knows the reason, where he took his life. We cannot afford to allow ourselves or our loved ones to get down that low. So again, it's really important to reach out. Now, how do you shift your energy? How do you take care of yourself? Okay, one of the ways I do it is, number one, resting. And again, there's this balance between resting and getting up and moving. And we have to be very aware and sensitive to what our body's going through. I'm lucky. I live pretty close to the ocean in Virginia Beach, Virginia. So I go out and I will walk the beach maybe for an hour in the morning, watch the sun come up. I'll go swimming in the ocean, come back, then start doing my work. Later on in the day, I may walk back and spend some time walking on the beach or in the state park, and then go swimming again. Now, being in the ocean will clear your energy field. Anytime you're around clear, clean water, preferably salt water, it'll naturally cleanse your energy field, and make sure you get your head under the water. So walking in nature will replenish you. Going swimming. If you're at home, taking a hot Epsom salts bath. And what I do is put 2 hands of Epsom salts in the bath water, and I roll over. I stay in the water quite a while, make sure I get my head under. Again, drinking lots of water, staying around healthy people. The exercise will move your lymphatic system. And one of the things for me, when I know I'm overloaded, I just look under my armpits. And if my armpits are bright red, I know the toxins are backed up in my body, or that I've had a big dumping of toxins into my body, and I've got to get them out, or else it's going to affect me. So after I came back to the United States from South Africa, I went through weeks and weeks where the area under my armpits were bright red. So again, walking, drinking lots of water, saying, okay, what do I need to clear this? Again, vitamins, minerals, nutrition. There's something called 5-HTP, and I don't know how available it is. I think it's only in prescription in South Africa. But one of the people here in the United States said, Michael, 5-HTP is a mood enhancer, and it can help you to balance. And with what I was going through at the time, they highly recommended me taking it, which I did, and that helped. Now, the good news is we can have helpers. We can have energy drinks, or I shouldn't say energy drinks, but healthy energy drinks. And the point is also to not become reliant upon anything external. We have to become reliant upon ourselves. We have to become reliant upon that which we can do long term. And by the way, sports is good. Sports will get the body moving. However, I still want to say being out in nature, meditation is good. The only time meditation isn't good is if we're hiding in meditation and we want to be spiritual. It's called a spiritual bypass. We want to be spiritual and we want to do all the spiritual things, connect with spirit, but we also have to be responsible for our physical body, for our human body, for our humanness. There's people, one person I know of, and again, it's in my book, where they went to the Ganges River in India and they stayed and meditated for, I don't know how many hours, but it was like 12 hours meditating. And they wound up having to be taken to a mental hospital because that's not what we were meant to do. So there is the balance between staying grounded. Staying grounded means walking on the earth with bare feet, walking, feeling what's on the earth, walking in sand, feeling it with our feet, staying connected to spirit. And I talk about the trolley cars in the past. The trolley cars in the past, and I think all of the countries had it a long time ago, where the trolley cars, they had to be on the rails. They had to be grounded. And then the other part of the trolley car is they had to stay connected to the power source, to the electrical lines above them. We as human beings cannot operate being disconnected. We've been given a physical body. We have to be in our physical body to achieve what we came here on earth to do. Now, for some of us, especially empaths and people like that are very sensitive, that's not always a lot of fun. However, being grounded, staying in our body, breathing, feeling our feelings, feeling our emotions is critical. Then connecting to spirit, spending time saying, okay, spirit, what do you want me to do? How can I be a better person? What am I avoiding? What do I need to learn? And allowing the guidance to come through. The book I've just written about intuition, called Intuition, Your Silent Thunder, is a great book that helps you to connect to your inner guidance. Reconnecting to ourselves, it's about not looking externally, but taking the time and saying, what do I feel? What do I want? What do I need? Who am I? There are whole workshops based on just spending 2 to 4 days a week that says, who am I? What's important to me? Now, it's interesting because Steve Jobs just passed away, and he was the head of Apple, and he was a billionaire. And he said, I missed it. He said, I chased money and power, but look at my health and look at my life. The most important things to us are our connections and our spiritual family. And for a lot of us, we didn't have a connection, or we didn't have a strong connection, or maybe even a healthy connection with our blood family. And for some of us, it was a source of extreme trauma. But finding and developing our spiritual family, finding and developing a close circle of friends is extremely important. And whether we're rich financially or not is not how we're going to be measured when we leave the earth plane. A long time ago, and this is important regarding Dark Night of the Soul, is how do we go ahead and define ourselves and our value and whether or not we're a good person? We are all good people. And the question is, how do we look upon ourselves? Whatever you have materially, you are not going to be able to take it with you when you go to the next dimension, when you leave the earth plane. Many, many years ago, I had someone who criticized me. And he said, Michael, you don't have a big fancy car. Michael, you don't have, a big expensive house. Michael, you don't have a Lear jet. Um, and I and they judged me about some other things. And I sat back and I went, and it really hit me. And then over the next couple of days, Spirit was talking to me, my guides, my teachers, my higher self. And I started realizing, I've been to over 50 countries. I've worked with Native American medicine people, Canadian medicine people, Eskimo shamans, Peruvian shamans, psychic surgeons from the Philippines, been with the Maoris. I've had experiences that very few people on this earth have had. I can take all of those experiences, everything I learned, all the gifts, I can take that with me when I leave the earth plane. No one's going to take that from me. So I want to ask you, what are the gifts that you've accumulated this lifetime? What are the learnings? What are the experiences that have helped you? What are the friendships that have blessed you? They talk about where you focus your time and energy. You can focus your time and energy and say, I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't have the other thing. And what happens is it lowers your energy field. And the question is, how do you keep your energy field strong? Well, one of the ways you keep your energy field strong is focus on the positive. Look at what you do have. Bless yourself and bless those people who have come into your life to help and support you. Stephan and I both work with people, and there's a lot of other people that are very good at helping. And one of the things that's critical is for you to have a coach, a mentor, someone who's a neutral observer, who is committed to your success, committed to your healing. And the best person is someone who's also your cheerleader and your facilitator. It's also important that you have the relationship with that person where you feel safe and comfortable with that person confronting you or challenging you, saying, why are you doing that? Or does that honor your soul? See, a lot of times, I'm going to get a drink of water. Hold on. Sometimes the worst person for us is someone who just pats us on the head, tells us how great we are, and we're driving 100 miles an hour or 120 kilometers an hour, 180 kilometers an hour into a brick wall. Finding someone that can see us, see our true selves, see our soul, see what we came into earth, and help us to clear our energy, and then moving in a positive direction. Now, we as humans see certain things. When we have helpers, guides, teachers, that helps in another dimension. The other thing is to have humans being coaches, mentors, guides, teachers, whatever it may be. And a lot of the people on the conference, Stephan, myself, we can help you. And I have a support team. And that support team I reach out to consistently, even when things are good, to keep myself clear, to keep my energy clear, to say, okay, where am I on my path? Am I heading in the right direction? What's your feedback? Just give me some feedback. And, when we have a car, we have a house, we have animals, we have our dentist, we go in for periodic checkups. Yes, if we have a problem, we go instantly. But if we don't have a problem, we still go for maintenance. We still go to be checked up. How are we doing? Give me some reference points. And for me, there are times when I've gone down the path and I got to the end of the path and went, oh my God, this is never going to work. Oh my God, I've put in all this time, all this energy. And so the whole point is that it is extremely important to have really good friends and professional people, and usually people who are not emotionally tied to us, who are willing to challenge us, are willing to hold us accountable, are willing to help us to polish our rough edges. Um, it's really interesting because one of the things that I've been told is that when you want to polish two stones, you don't take a soft one and a hard one and put it together. You've got to get two of equal density. And we have to find people, or it's highly recommended to find people who are on our same frequency, vibration, spiritual level, or higher, that can help us, guide us, teach us, and mentor us. Um, I want to talk about some other things now. Anyone who has been a sailor or spent time on the water knows that when you're walking on land, you walk a certain way. And then when you're on the ocean, you have to develop what they call sea legs. So you have to adjust your energy and your balance. And then if you've been on the ocean for a number of days and you get back on land, all of a sudden the land moves differently, or it feels like the land is moving, and you have to adjust so that you can walk on the land. Whenever we're going through a dimensional doorway, whenever we're having a frequency shift, whenever we're moving up in frequency, what happens is we have to adjust, and going through the dark night of the soul can happen. Sometimes the dimensional doorways we walk through are easy and fun. And there's other times we go through a dimensional doorway and it's like, okay, who am I? What are my values? There was a time back in the early 1970s when I worked with someone, and I went through such a massive shift in my energy that on the inside, I was calm and peaceful. On the outside, I was sweating so bad that for a couple of weeks, I had to constantly take showers and baths because of the amount of sweat that was coming out. So when we're going through that kind of a shift, then what happens is we have to take time for us mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and energetically to come back into balance, to come back into alignment. And again, please, 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 please reach out for support. You are worth it. You are worthy. You are important. You are making a difference on this planet. And we need you. Wow, tears are coming through. Spirit needs you to take better care of yourself. Wow, not sure. Spirit's coming through pretty strong today. Be kind to yourself. Be gentle to yourself. Be loving to yourself. We cannot give our gift to anybody else. We cannot give our gift to the planet if we don't take care of ourselves. We must do that. And the other point of it is, there's all this religious stuff. It's better to give than to receive. Self-sacrifice, da 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 da. And it's poppycock. I want to say some other words, but I'm not going to say it online. It's all poppycock. The whole thing is, if we don't take care of ourselves, we cannot give anything to others. If we don't take care of ourselves, we're not establishing ourselves as a role model. We have to do that. I am a good healer. I'm a world-class healer. Stephan is. Priscilla, is many people are. And we still reach out to each other for help and support. Wow.
Thank you so much for sharing all of this with us today, Michael. This has been absolutely phenomenal. And you've really, I think, delved deep into your personal experiences, and we really appreciate it. And I think we can just say, from the bottom of all our hearts, a huge thank you for being here in this world and for shining your lights out. Seriously, huge, huge, huge thank you. To our attendees, thank you for being here with us today and for posing some great questions as well. We're going to wrap up there. This has been a phenomenal experience. I think we can all agree. For those of you who are joining the next speaker, please refer to the live page on the Wellness Lifestyle Conference website, and we will see you on the other side. Michael, again, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure, Stephan.
Thank you.